No, not exactly. The agent fumbled with her walkie-talkie, while the supervisor raised an eyebrow. Captain Brooks, is this necessary? Elijah didn't flinch. Yes, more than you know. Walter, still slouched by the window, looked up when he heard the pilot's voice. Mr. Granger, Elijah said warmly. Would you mind coming with me? Walter blinked. You know me? Elijah smiled. You probably don't remember me. But when I was 12 years old, I met you in a parking lot, outside a hardware store in South Carolina. Walter stared confused. Son, I don't. You helped me fix my bike chain, told me to never stop learning, gave me $5 and said, someday, you'll be the guy giving me directions. Walter's eyes widened. You remember that? I never forgot it. Elijah said. It was the first time I'd ever been treated with dignity by someone like you. Walter was speechless. Elijah gently put a hand on his shoulder. Let's get you to your seat, sir. Your granddaughter's waiting. The boarding area fell quiet as Captain Elijah Brooks walked Walter down the jet bridge. Some passengers looked puzzled. Others shifted uncomfortably, sensing they'd misjudged a man they barely looked at. As they stepped onto the plane, Elijah paused. I saved you seat 1A, he said, smiling. It's not first class, but it's got the best view. Walter chuckled, still visibly stunned. I wasn't expecting this. Any of this? Well, sometimes life comes full circle, Elijah said. Today's one of those times. A flight attendant stepped aside as Walter took his seat. Captain, everything all right? She asked quietly. Better than all right. He nodded. Back in the cockpit, Elijah sat quietly for a moment before speaking to his co-pilot. Remember that old man we just seated? Yeah. What about him? He once helped me believe I mattered. Back when I was just a poor black kid in a rough town, riding a second-hand bike with a busted chain. He didn't know. He didn't owe me anything. But he treated me like I was worth something. The co-pilot raised his eyebrows. Today I got to return that. As the plane took off, Walter looked out the window, eyes glistening. He whispered to himself, Clara's going to lose it when she hears this. He felt something in his chest, not just pride or gratitude, peace. For years, Walter had worried the world was slipping away, becoming colder, more divided, less kind. But in that moment he realized it hadn't disappeared. It had just grown in ways he hadn't yet seen. And now a young black pilot he once helped as a child was flying him toward family, toward joy, toward a chapter he never thought he'd get to write. After landing in Atlanta, Walter was one of the last to step off the plane. Elijah waited for him just outside the cockpit door. Let me help you with your bag, he said, lifting it with ease. Walter chuckled. Still strong as ever, huh? Gotta be, Elijah smiled. These planes don't fly themselves. They walk together through the terminal, drawing glances, some surprised, others simply curious. A young airport employee held up a sign that read, Granger Family. And when she spotted Walter, she waved excitedly. A young woman rushed forward, her baby in her arms. Grandpa! Walter's face lit up. Jenna. She hugged him so tightly he could barely breathe. We thought you missed your flight. I almost did, he said, glancing at Elijah with a knowing smile. But I had someone looking out for me. Jenna turned to Elijah. Are you the one who? Elijah nodded, just making sure he got where he needed to go. Jenna was visibly moved. Thank you. Really? As they prepared to leave, Walter stopped. Wait, he said, turning to Elijah. Before I go, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small weathered coin, a Navy Challenge coin polished smooth over time. This got me through some of the hardest days of my life. I always said I'd give it to someone who showed true courage. He pressed it into Elijah's palm. I think today qualifies. Elijah stared at it, deeply moved. I don't know what to say. You already said it when you stepped off that plane for me. They shook hands, not just as men, but as something more, as proof That one kind moment can echo across decades and come back at just the right time. Back in his Atlanta home, Walter sat on the porch swing, the newborn nestled in his arms. He stared at her in awe, tiny fingers, peaceful breath, eyes fluttering beneath delicate lids. "She's perfect," he whispered. Jenna smiled. "I named her Grace." He looked up surprised. "After Grandma. And for what got you here," she said gently. "That moment, that pilot, I still can't believe it." Walter looked down at Grace, emotion swelling in his chest. "I thought I was just passing through life," he said. "Turns out I left a mark." Over the next few days, word of what happened at the airport spread. The video someone had taken of Captain Elijah stepping out of the cockpit went viral. The story, "Veteran denied at gate, pilot steps in," lit up social media. Most saw a powerful moment of kindness. Some saw a lesson in humility. But all saw hope. A local reporter interviewed Elijah, asking what made him stop that day. "I remembered what he did for me when I was just a kid," he said. "He gave me respect when I didn't know what that felt like. Today, I got to give it back." Then the reporter asked, "What would you say to those who think kindness is a small thing?" Elijah looked right into the camera. "It's never small. A kind word, a small gesture, it can last decades. It can lift a life. It lifted mine." Meanwhile, Walter began receiving letters from veterans, from strangers, from people who had seen the clip and just wanted to say thank you. One message read, "You reminded me not to give up on the next generation." Another simply said, "I hope someone steps up for me, the way that pilot did for you." Walter smiled at each one, not for the praise but for the proof that we all carry light. And sometimes all it takes is one moment to let it shine. Days later, Walter received a phone call he never expected. "Mr. Granger, this is Captain Elijah Brooks." Walter chuckled. "Didn't think I'd hear from you again so soon. I was wondering," Elijah said, "if you'd be interested in joining me next month. The airline's hosting a veteran appreciation event. I'm the keynote speaker, but I'd like you to be there with me." Walter hesitated, surprised. "Me, I'm no public speaker." "You don't need to be," Elijah replied. "Just being there is enough." A few weeks later, under the lights of a downtown event hall, two men, once strangers now forever connected, stood together on stage. Elijah spoke first, telling the crowd about the chance encounter from his childhood. He told them how one small act of kindness helped a scared kid believe in himself and ultimately believe he could fly. Then he turned to Walter. "Sometimes we wait our whole lives to say thank you," Elijah said. "And sometimes life brings the chance back when you least expect it." The audience gave a standing ovation as Walter stepped up beside him. "I don't remember everything about that day in the parking lot," Walter said. "But I do remember one thing. I saw a kid who looked like he had a future. I just wanted to remind him of it." He looked at Elijah and added, "Turns out he reminded me of mine too." The applause swelled. Afterward, a young black student approached Walter with tears in his eyes. "I want to be a pilot too," he said. "But sometimes I feel like I don't belong." Walter placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "Son, the skies belong to you just as much as they did to me." That night, as Walter rode home in the back of a cab, he stared out the window, thinking not just about how far he'd come, but how far one good deed could carry another soul. Months passed. The story of Walter and Elijah lived far beyond the terminal where it began. News outlets, podcasts, and even school classrooms shared their moment as a lesson in dignity, memory, and unexpected kindness. Elijah was invited to speak at leadership conferences, aviation schools, and community events. But every time he shared the spotlight and the credit, "I'm here today," he'd say, "because a stranger showed me respect when he didn't have to. That moment planted something in me. And now, I fly not just with training, but with purpose." Walter, meanwhile, returned to a life of quiet days and porch swings, but his world felt fuller, brighter. He began volunteering at the local VA center, listening to other veterans who felt forgotten. Some were angry, some lost. He listened patiently and told them his story not to impress, but to inspire. "I thought I was invisible," he told one man, "but someone saw me. And now, I see you." One day a package arrived at Walter's door. Inside was a photo frame. It held a snapshot of Elijah in uniform, beside a flight crew. And beside him Walter, smiling wide with the words etched below, "The flight that brought us home." Tears welled in Walter's eyes as he placed the frame on his mantle, right next to the photo of his granddaughter Grace. The world kept moving, flights kept flying, but something deep had shifted in him. He no longer worried about being left behind, because now he knew legacies aren't always built in war or written in books. Sometimes they're passed down in the quiet ways we treat each other in the parking lot with a busted bike chain, or in a crowded terminal with a single seat and a simple choice. The next time Walter flew, he wasn't alone. His daughter, his granddaughter Grace, and Elijah all met him at the gate. No confusion, no hesitation, just smiles and open arms. Walter walked confidently through security, holding Grace's tiny hand. No one questioned him this time. No sideways glances, just a gentle nod from the gate agent, and even a few whispers of recognition as they boarded the plane. Elijah gave Walter a quick salute. Walter laughed. "Don't start treating me like some celebrity now. To me you always were," Elijah replied. The flight was peaceful. Grace slept curled on Walter's shoulder. When they landed, the passengers clapped, not for turbulence or touchdown, but for something that had nothing to do with altitude. Something about that man in seat 1A made people feel grounded. Weeks later, a mural appeared near the airport's community center. Two figures, a boy with a bike and an old man holding a pilot's cap. Beneath it were words that read, "One act of kindness can echo for a lifetime." And for Walter Granger, a man who thought his story had already been written, it turned out he was just entering his most meaningful chapter. If this story moved you, don't forget to subscribe for more true emotional stories that show the best in people. Leave a comment. Have you ever had a moment where kindness changed everything? And come back soon for the next story that might just touch your heart the same way. Until next time, stay kind, stay human.